All right, we're back, and we're now joined by our guest, Mr. LocFoReal from the Bay Area. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing fantastic. Loving the new song, Bay Anthem. Want to hear all about what you do and everything. If you could take us back to where it all started, talk about growing up and how you fell in love with music, who maybe some of those heroes were inspired you, and at what age did you start making your own music?
Okay. Well, Jay, I'll tell you, man, I've been around, music all my life. It's funny, man, because, when I think about, how it was back in the day, my mom, she would throw some house parties, on occasion. So, I was exposed to a lot of good music, and then, plus I would watch, music award shows, check out some of the recording artists, and then basically what I would do, I would say I probably like around 6, 7 years old back then. And what I would do, man, I would study and watch how those artists performed. And then, I just knew, man, early on that I wanted to be, part of this entertainment industry, man. And music is basically, it's in my system, man. My pops used to be a singer, he sang a little gospel music. So, and then that whole side of the family is like very, very musically talented.
And who were the artists that early on really stood out to you and inspired you?
Well, man, it's just funny, man, because it's a lot of different artists. I mean, I remember the NWA, the World, of course, and Eazy and people like that. But also, on the pop R&B tip, it was always Michael Jackson, of course. What I'm saying, people like that, and even some of that, the older Motown stuff. I would watch like old reruns of like the Temptations and Smokey Robinson, people like that performing, Stevie Wonder, man, and like I said, I always just always kept an eye out, for the top, recording artists, recording industry artists at that time. So, I figured, if I, basically use them as a blueprint, I can make sure my game was tightened up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, that's some timeless music right there. I mean, Smokey Robinson's still doing his thing, and Temptations, of course, will never die. No matter how many members have been through that group, it's an institution. So growing up in the Bay obviously is a rich musical heritage. A lot of artists from rock to R&B to hip-hop have come from there. What were some of your early experiences as far as going out and seeing some big shows and really being blown away with the whole, explosion of a live performance and full production?
Okay, well, I'll tell you, man, Summer Jam, which they still put on, out here, that was like my first, ever big concert, what I'm saying? And at that time, Summer Jam would always, bring artists from all across the country, you know what I'm saying? So from east to west and points in between. So, man, for me, I seen, it's funny, way back when, man, I seen, who was that, Run DMC in concert, man, and the Beastie Boys. And when I'll tell you like this, man, when I seen Run DMC perform and how they came out, man, they basically just controlled the crowd, man, from the beginning to the end. Now, there's some other artists, that have done the same thing, but one that comes to mind is, like Ice Cube, man. I've seen a lot of Ice Cube concerts, man, over the years, and for me, man, I like that having that power, what I'm saying, up on stage, man, the stage presence, man, the crowd interaction, you know what I'm saying? So, it's a very powerful thing, you know what I'm saying? Feeling.
Well, yeah, you look at a mogul like Ice Cube and starting from just a lyricist and a rapper in a little indie band called NWA, had no idea if he'd even get heard outside of his block, and
right.
See what he's become, as a writer, producer, movie maker, and still goes out and does his hip-hop shows, not for the money, but because he loves it. That's the true sign of, of a legend. But now, I know with your Bay Anthem, obviously you're paying homage to, to the Great Bay Area. Talk about, your idea, behind making this song and what it means to you.
Well, for me, man, the Bay Anthem, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's been other songs, that have been, made about the Bay, but I don't think it's deep as I've went, with the Bay Anthem. For me, I love my hometown, my home area, you know what I'm saying? And, man, it's just been, the the whole thing, man, was like a privilege, man. It's been a real big privilege, man, for me to, work alongside, some other artists, Noodles, for example, and Jimmy Rain, which is, her name is Jamesa, coming from East Oakland. But, man, I tell you, man, I just wanted to give the world, another inside look at, how urban life is in the Bay. And what I mean by urban life, man, it's funny because the Bay is a big-time melting pot. And, I've been in New York City, and that's a melting pot as well, you know what I mean, and other places. But to me, man, the Bay, man, it just reflects a sort of equality, if you know what I'm saying. So we're not focused on, what, who this person is or what this person looks like, you know what I'm saying, up this way. So, we're just trying to spread that love, man, that Bay, that Bay anthem, man, that Bay love. So, for me, man, it was just like I said, we got in the studio, man. It's funny because we did the song in like basically a couple hours, from writing to recording it, and we really didn't know what we were going to get out of it until, it was all laid down, and we started mixing it, man, and we just knew we had something hot. I mean, when I say me, just talking about me and the engineer, G-Man Stan, and just knew we had something hot there, man. So, I decided, let's do this thing, man. Let's try to get out there on a national level, and so far so good. So far so good.
Sure. Now I know you've had the chance to open up and perform alongside the Too Shorts and Trina and E40s and West Side Connections, or Mix-a-Lot, Baby Bash, Rappin' Forte, many, many others. Is there like a highlight, one of the shows you performed on that it was almost surreal, you couldn't believe you were a part of?
Well, man, I mean, West Side Connection for sure. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I pay, my homage to Cube, you know what I'm saying? And, the rest of that NWA thing, I identify, with them, you know what I'm saying? But, for me, also, man, I'm going to tell you, man, Too Short was cool, you know what I'm saying? It was a trip, too, because, man, I didn't meet him directly, you know what I'm saying? But after I got off stage, man, I kind of, was in the back part of the stage, man, and kind of off to the side as I was watching, Short do his thing, man. I remember he was, rocking it, doing what he was doing. He kind of looked off to the side, and kind of looked like, man, who is this dude? Because I was studying the cat, you know what I'm saying? So,
right.
For me, Short, man, was, it was nice, man. It was, it was a, pleasure, man. I was kind of starstruck, too, in a way, man, and, yeah.
Well, he's a legend that keeps ticking, and of course, along with E40, who proves, man, you get better with age. I'm seeing E40 doing 100 times the business independently, now than when he was on Warner Brothers 5 years ago. What I know you work at Google. What are some of the tech ideas and some of the trends and some of the opportunities now for independent artists to harness some of this technology and some of these opportunities to kind of run your own company and do your own thing these days?
Well, I mean, as far as that, man, Google has made it, and YouTube, of course, owned by Google. Man, I think they've made it a lot easier for the, independent artists, to come out and try to make an impact, you know what I'm saying? And you got a chance to, get a real following behind you, whereas back in the day it was, man, it was a lot harder, you know what I'm saying, to get out there and get noticed. I tell you, I had a record deal offer way back when, man, and, I actually ended up turning it down, because, it's funny, man, because when you're younger, man, you feel like, okay, well, if I'm already here, L.A., I've got record deals, being offered, you feel like you're going to make it back there, pretty quick, you know what I'm saying, once again. But, for me, man, Google is like I say, man, I work security for those cats, man. I do the corporate security thing. So, I'm not really there privy to all that, high-tech, knowledge and information,
Sure.
But, man, Google it's a good place, man. It's a great place to work, but don't get me wrong, that's not my dream. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so, it's a great
it's
job.
exciting to see the tools, like you say, from YouTube to, online. When we tell these youngsters that we broke records back in the day before there were cell phones or an internet or, email or YouTube, they can't even figure out how to get to first base,
Right.
So you got to take these tools, and remain humble. A lot of people, think just because there's technology, there's a shortcut. And you and I both know anything great, doesn't happen easy. And it's about paying dues and, persevering. What other advice would you give to those, young artists coming up today that might think, because of a little technology, it's real quick and easy? We all know, again, the perseverance, the sacrifice, the dedication it takes. What do you school them on?
Well, man, I just tell them, basically, this game, if they can, if they're strong enough, man, and they're willing to work hard, man, put in the, that extra time. I know a lot of people say that, man, but it's really the truth, man. You got to put in, the extra time, man. I'm the type of cat, man, I get off work, my regular job, man, and then, man, I'm on to, what I do, what I love, the music part of this thing. So, I may only get, 2, 3, 4 hours of sleep, per night. You know what I'm saying? Just because, I'm working hard, on achieving my goal, man, and pushing my product. But what I would say to these, young cats, man, and, people trying to make it, man, you just got to stay humble, man, throughout this whole entire process. Man, it's been a learning, experience. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't jump into this thing yesterday. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing it. And, but I would just tell them, man, just believe in what you're doing, man, and try not to follow the trend, man. I mean, if anything, man, one thing I could say is, man, try to, stay in your own lane. Try to come up with something, that's not sound like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So, you want something that's going to, basically separate you, man, from all the other artists and things like that, out there. But, that's the advice I can give, to these people now, to these youngsters right now,
Well, that's well said. We always say stand out, don't blend in. So take some risk, because even the most successful business people in the world weren't afraid to fail, because if you're not taking risks, you're not making bold moves.
Right.
So we appreciate having you. Mr. LocFoReal is the artist. Bay Anthem is the single. Go out and check that out on iTunes, YouTube, all the social media, and we look forward to having you performing live. So thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to hearing more new music soon.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that, man. And when I get down there, man, to L.A., man, I'm, come out there and, see you, man, see how you doing.